Public Q&A presents AskReddit question. What's one thing you'll never buy an off-brand version of again? Cat litter. I wanted clumping, not piss-laden cement. Ick if you've already tried this, but pine litter is so nice. It turns into a powder when it gets wet, but it traps and smell way better in my opinion. I was a manager at PetSmart before COVID, and this is amazing. I would recommend people in store try it at least once instead of the typical powder or clumping. And if they wanted to try it, and had been nice to me, I would tell them to head to the Walmart or Tractor Supply across the street, and pay $6 for about 30 pounds, rather than $25 and at our store. If anyone is interested, it will most likely be labeled for horses or some type of farm bedding, not next to the other cat litter. It lasts for an incredibly long amount of time. This is coming from someone who has raised close to 30 cats, including childhood and adulthood, and currently 3 cats or 3 dogs. For someone really just wanting traditional cat litter, Tidy Cats is very popular and will do an okay job considering the price. The PetSmart brand of litter is actually very good for clumping and is rather cheap, and is the same formula as another brand 2 to 3x the price. Another secret is, if you are buying bedding for a small mammal, typically guinea pig, you can likely find something of the same or similar material and consistency in the cat litter section for 1 or 2 the price. I have a lot of tips or tricks from my time at PetSmart, including training and grooming. PM me or reply if anyone wants more info. Reason for my openness. As a manager, not GM, I was paid well. But when COVID hit, I witnessed how poorly corporate and district managers treated store employees. It's why I left and did not or will not return. You seriously should do an AMA. Honestly, the cheapest place to buy is at Home Depot or building supply under pellet stove fuel. I would buy a pallet or 2 at a time for my shelter. $3 to $4 for a 50 pounds bag. Used with cats, ferrets, reptiles, etc., so easy to clean and environmentally friendly. OkaCat clumping pine litter is a must-have if you like clumping litter but want the odor control of pine litter. I bought all the best clay litters with odor protection guarantees, and my house always smelled like ammonia even though I scooped every single time my cat used the box. With OkaCat litter I can go out and come home, and my house just smells like home, and doesn't smell like pee even with clumps in the box. Plus, clay litter is derived by strip mining the earth. And another bonus is that a box of OkaCat litter lasts several months for me with 2 cats, where clay lasted a month if that. Thanks for the Rico. I just ordered a box from Chewy to try. With 4 cats, I really hate the environmental impact of all that clay mining. Let's hope they like it. After 25 plus years in construction, tools. Also, batteries. Good tools are so important. Bought a cheap screwdriver set with those detachable tips. The tips stripped so easily. Must have been made out of tin foil. Beat me to it. Came here to say this. Bought a Ryobi combo kit when I was broke, something like 5 tools for $250. It was a huge investment in myself at the time. Bought a Ryobi job site table saw a couple years later. A few years after that, I am doing much better financially, decided to renovate my bathroom. Contractor buddy offered to help me out, and then I watched Milwaukee drills and Bosch saws, and I saw for the first time that tools don't always have to be forced to work. Ryobi aren't bad at all for the DIY guy or hobbyist. Unless you're doing work in construction, they'll do fine. I completely remodeled my entire house, as in gutted to studs with my dad, and mine held up fine until they were stolen. Other brands are higher quality, yes, and have better features, ergonomics, lighter, etc. But if you're not in the trades, it probably won't matter. I ended up getting a DeWalt set impact drill, circular, multi-tool after my Ryobis were stolen for the heavy-use tools, but things like brad and finish nailers that I needed but wouldn't use all that often. I would never justify spending more than double for DeWalt or Milwaukee. I saw advice once that you can buy the cheaper version first, and if you use it enough that it needs a replacement, then pay for the better version the second time. If you don't, then saving money by buying the cheaper version worked just fine. Obviously there are some limits to this, because the sheer crappiness of some tools is astounding, but don't be afraid to go the reliable but cheaper route to start with if you're not a professional. Cheap paint is shit, trust me, and get the name brand stuff, otherwise you're just going to need it eventually to paint over that patchy cheap shit. I second this. I work for a company that does professional cleaning. Sometimes we have to scrub walls. Cheap paint doesn't hold up. Good quality paint cleans easier and still looks good when we're done. This is the worst. I have used magic erasers on walls tons of times. Used it at the new place I am renting where the guy uses glidden, and now the wall has a canker sore. Glidden is such garbage paint. It used to be okay quality, but it's rapidly declined into tinted water over the years. I am one of those guys that figured all paint is the same, and anyone that says otherwise is probably some paint snob, but nope. I am not sure what the legal definition of paint is, but this barely meets it if at all. It's so thin you probably spend more by putting multiple coats. Man, it is impossible to stay on top of brands in America. Brands get into financial trouble due to many factors, but the name gets sold regardless. They slowly ratchet down quality while keeping the name the same. When people notice, they just lower their prices. On a large scale, this makes the buyers of the brand they are running into the ground huge money. Good examples include Duckhead polos from the 80s, and their journey to goodies, and LL Bean, totally supplanted by Orvis as a waspy fashion statement. Dr brands are constantly changing due to capitalism. Make sure they still are what their reputation was built on, especially in America. As a guy who makes paint for a living, don't buy the expensive shit either. Paint in its best format is water, latex, pigment, and biocide. Depending on what type of paint you want, there might be small additions. But when you start getting into big box recipes, they complicate the fuck out of it to raise the price. Best paint you can buy according to its formula and effectiveness. In order: Valspar, Sherwin, Ace Hardware, Walmart. Walmart being the last because it is literally water, latex, and the cheapest fucking pigment they will buy. What about Benjamin Moore, Kelly Moore, Vista, etc.? And then there is quality within the brand. Oh. I sold Benjamin Moore paint in college. The contractor grade paint is about $20 or gallon, and it's really good stuff. Their highest end paint is also good for coverage if you need really vibrant colors. My mom was a house painter, and she won't buy anything but Benjamin Moore. I have such fond memories of playing with her huge color palette. Painted the whole inside of my house during COVID. Sherwin-Williams. That's a weird quote. I unfortunately learned this last weekend. Where the hell were you when I needed you? Huh? All the Home Depot paint is junk. IDGAF if it's Ralph Lauren at Home Depot. For beginner quality paint, Benjamin Moore is where it's at. Ralph Lauren paint is made by Glidden, and Glidden is super thin watery paint. I read recently of a massage therapist on Reddit that bought a cheaper table off Amazon, and the first day it broke when an overweight client crawled up in it. She left in tears. They have weight limits. Cheap tables, chairs, and the like usually have a limit around 150 to 200. Please tell me this limit is in kg and not lbs. I really hope it's in kg, cause that is a very weak table otherwise. What is this? A table for ants. 200 kilograms is really decent weight limit, so I am going to say it's LBS. Shit, I thought you were about to say never buy an off-brand massage therapist. Bra. I used to always buy something cheap that looked nice enough. Only recently I went to a lingerie shop for the first time to get properly measured. Bought 2 sets of bra and panties that actually fit perfectly and both feel and look great. My life quality improved in an instant. This is a great answer. I still remembered when I discovered the beauty of a bra that actually fits. Who knew that I was not actually the standard 36DD they tell most larger breast women in the USA, but instead a 34FF. My go-to brand is Fantasy with side support. The difference is unreal. I buy a new one every year on my birthday. I hand wash them and still use them for years. APAND, have beautiful colors and patterns. This, after a visit to subreddit a Brad Hatfits of course. Went from my VS size of 34 or B to my real size of 30DD, life effing changing. And then to go from shitty bras to some nice brands that actually have my size. Hell yeah. Preach it, sister. A proper bra fitting is something I encourage all women to get done. Scotch tape, freaking hate Dollar Tree Scotch tape. Same with post-it notes. Cheap ones have different adhesive and are crap. Dollar store post-its are so depressing. Watching them fall off is like dropping your ice cream cone or your balloon deflating. People buy post-its. I thought everyone just stole them from work. Shoes, especially running. My back will never recover. You don't want to go cheap in those items that go between you and the ground. Shoes, mattress, tires, hamburger buns, airplanes. You ain't lying. I will never fly Spirit Airlines again. LOL Spirit Airlines. SMH. Hey, let's slap some wings and a jet engine on a Greyhound bus. The vomit bags come pre-filled for your convenience. Vacuum cleaners. Eventually you just stop vacuuming completely when it isn't strong enough or easy to use. For me it's the insane noise of cheap ones. I got lucky and bought a cheap $100 Dirt Devil that uses a HEPA F1 filter. It's one of those bagless ones that I have to empty every room, but I don't care because I get to see all the shit that I vacuum up. It's 10 years old, has no height adjustment, and still has enough suction to do anything I need to. I think I have probably put 10 belts on it or more. It just won't die. Sometimes you get lucky with the cheap brands and models. I still can't believe how much the filter gets out of the carpet. Every time I vacuum I take the filter outside and tap it out and get giant clouds of superfine silt that was just sitting in my rugs and carpet. Expo markers. The off-brand ones either put gobs of ink on my whiteboard or run out in half the time Expo does. Plus, most of them are a pain to clean off the board and never erase fully. Bandaids. Cheap Bandaids suck, especially when you need to use them on your fingers. I am a server and can go through at least 6 or 7 cheap Bandaids in one shift for one cut because they fall off as soon as they get wet. I love tough strips because they actually stay on when they get wet, so I only end up changing it maybe once just to be hygienic. Neck scare is best. Never goes on sale though. Work boots. 3 hours in a pair of Walmart $30 Brahmas is worse than 300 hours in even a pretty cheap pair of Wolverines. Yo, seriously, you had me until you said Wolverines. Treat yourself, Red Wings are life. I also had a pair of Doc's steel toes a few years back that were pretty amazing once I broke them, and they are heavy though. Like I built some muscle wearing those. Obviously a niche market, but piercing needles and nitrile gloves. The amount of times I have worked for guys who buy cheap shit is maddening. Having 2 or 3 gloves rip in a row as you put them on will drive the sanest man to a breaking point. As for the needles, it was awful. I went from using needles that went through like butter to being able to feel every fiber I was going through almost as if they were barbed. And Dr. Thunder sucks ass. Cheap gloves are so damn annoying, especially if you're working in an environment where cheap means 10 pairs of gloves in a day. I work in a tooling shop and often come into contact with solvents. A good pair of nitrile gloves will generally hold up pretty well for a short time to something like lacquer thinner. A cheap pair of nitrile gloves or God forbid latex will start breaking apart within 10 to 20 seconds. When using that kind of shit all day, broken gloves start to add up fast. I work in a lab and it's so frustrating now that the price of PPE has shot up. My boss is rationing the high-quality gloves for when we're working with strong chemicals, so it's powdered latex for us most of the time now. Plus he only bought size large, so I just don't have the same dexterity with my small hands. It just means I am not wearing gloves sometimes when I probably should. My favorite piercing needles are actually super cheap ones that everyone else hates, but after those, Katana or GTFO. Also, if I snap 2 gloves back to back, the whole box is going in the trash. Extremely frustrating right now, with gloves getting more expensive and quality tanking. Not really off-brand, but there were these tampons that were cheaper than my usual, and were also eco-friendly. I remember feeling so good about finding something Greenpeace would love me for just to have bits of fluff fly everywhere in my fucking bathroom the second it opened up. They hadn't even pressed the tampon into shape. It was literally just a loose cotton scam that, had I shoved it up my hoo-ha, would have left me living the life of a stuffed bear to this day. Edit. Thanks heaps to those of you who suggested getting a cup. I'd done it before and found it difficult, but through some advice here I have found one that is meant to be right for me by doing this quiz. Hope it helps others too. Must bin from Build-A-Bear's new adult line. I would award this comment, but if Reddit has taught me anything, it's don't buy Reddit coins. Don't buy cheap tampons either. This is terrifying. Have you tried the OB ones that don't have applicators? Those are my favorite and there's very little packaging. I was also going to recommend OBS. Plus they are the only brand with an actually useful ultra tampon. Period bullets. My vagina ached just reading that. Video game controllers. LMAO, I bought a GameStop brand controller because it was $20 over a legit Xbox controller that cost $60. The thing needed batteries but didn't have a slot that opened up to insert batteries, and had a fake USB port. What the actual fucking fuck? GameStop brand sounds like a small company making a bunch of cheap SHT for GameStop to brand and sell, kind of like Amazon Basics. LOL, this is actually such a legit answer. The knockoff Nintendo Pro controllers actually work 200% better for me TBH. They swap the position of the home or capture and and/or buttons and they light up. The sticks last longer and they light up with programmable lights that can react to inputs too. Nintendo needs to get their shit together for their hardware. The only reason I bought a rip-off Pro controller was because both sets of Joy-Cons I own have severe drift, i.e. bad thumbsticks, and the actual buttons sometimes just don't register, and that the regular Pro controller is so damn expensive. The one I bought works great, no drift, no issues whatsoever. I have ended up only buying controllers from third-party suppliers for my Switch now. For separate Joy-Cons, 3 Pro controllers and 2 wired, all with stick drift across a 2-5-year period. For comparison, I have had my PS4 since 2012, and I still use the OG controller. It's okay though, as the Switch Pro controller has a 40-hour battery life, meaning you'll never have to charge it before the stick begins to drift. Do car tires count here? Everyone is mentioning food, but Jesus please, if you are a young person, hear me out now. Don't cheap out on your tires. I second this. Buying high-end winter tires makes a huge difference in driving performance. What if I live in a place that doesn't have winter? With good quality tires, you can drive somewhere that does. Plot twist. He lives on Maui. Just drive on the sea floor. Just overinflate your tires, and they'll help your car float across the Pacific. I drive 200 miles a day, and agree entirely. Don't cheap out. Also, but online at Tire Rack. They ship straight to whatever shop you want. TLDR. You can cheap out on tires, but you all pay for it in quality and handling capabilities. Honestly, I sell tires for a living. The best dollar for value tire out there is probably a Uniroyal Tiger Paw Touring or S for sedans, or their Laredo for truck or SUV tires. They are a subsidiary brand to Michelin tires, so they have a lot of their tire technology built in, but at not quite the cost. They usually run anywhere from a 60 to 75k mile tread, where warranty you'll never get that much. Expect to get 80% of that number. But for the quality of tire that you get for your money, it can't be beat. If I have someone looking for a cheap tire, that is what I recommend before something that is round, black, and holds air. If you have a best tire, don't expect a good tire to be just like it, because you all just be disappointed. I am primarily always going to recommend a Michelin first though, for the quality that you get from it. If you have a best tire, don't expect a good tire to be just like it, because you all just be disappointed. I am primarily always going to recommend a Michelin first though, for the quality that you get from it. Not only the quality, but brands like Goodyear have real nice warranties, and I know that if I am driving far from home and have an issue, there's Goodyear service centers all over the country. Anything from Wishcom. I bought a tablet off of Wish, and I really did my homework, triple-checked all the stats for a week before deciding to pull the trigger. It finally came, and had about a 3-minute battery life. I couldn't get most apps because it was running some Yankee off-brand version of the Android OS, and it was slower getting a pothole fixed. I broke the screen by accident and opened up the back to see if it could be replaced. 90% of the tablet's volume was styrofoam packing so it wouldn't rattle. There was one singular circuit board the size of a playing card taped on the back of the screen, with 4 wires running out of it. One to the headphone jack, one to the charging port, one to the screen, and one into the only other component. A plastic bag, also taped to the back of the screen. I wondered what it could possibly be, and my only thought was that the battery was in that bag. I cut it open and realized that the battery was the bag, just a bag of lithium with wires running in and out. Never bought another thing from Wish again. Just a bag of lithium with wires running in and out. Never bought another thing from Wish again. WTF. Cutting it open sounds good for everyone's health. I cut it open and realized that the battery was the bag, just a bag of lithium with wires running in and out. What? Are there pictures of this? This is pretty common in cheap off-brand electronics, just a lithium bag, no harder outer shell on the battery. It's called Wishcom 'cause people just end up wishing they never bought things from there. TBH, if you buy a tablet from Wish and expect it to work, that's on you. How much did you pay for it? You can get a Kindle Fire for $30 new. I don't really see why would you bother with Wish. Because they advertise on Facebook, and everyone I know who orders through them is usually old, drunk, or bipolar in a manic phase, and it seems like a good idea at the time. My mother-in-law bought all the kids' tablets from Wish one Christmas. It was probably the worst Christmas for me because I had to be a sort of technician for these shitty tablets all night. Seeing the kids go from super happy to disappointed when they couldn't play any games, and had to sit with the chargers connected at all times. Never buy anything from Wish, especially electronics. I am sorry you had that experience, but if it makes you feel any better, it gave me my first full belly laugh of the month. Thanks. The battery was the bag, just a bag of lithium with wires running in and out. Fuck me. That's a new low. Okay, but my $5 knockoff AirPods with LED lights that make my ears look like they are at a rave are incredibly funny. I would never advise anyone to buy anything off Wishcom. I used to work for a bank and people would constantly be calling wondering why values of 99 cents or $1 were periodically coming out of their accounts every 3 to 4 weeks. It's a damn dodgy site and they blatantly steal money from customers for no reason. Classic Dawn dish soap. By far the most effective and more than justifies the cost. A little goes a long way. Also, mixing it 3 or for Dawn to 1 or for water even half, and half gets a lot more value out of each bottle with no negative effect. Why not just use a tinier squirt to the dishwater? As a janitor that often needs to mix cleaning chemicals by eye, it's just easier to get the dilution right. Simply because if it's half as strong as full concentration, then you're more likely to undershoot than overshoot. Which isn't a problem, you can always add more, but you can't take out the extra soap. The only way to correct an overshoot is to add more water, but that's just wasting soap. For a lot of things now, I'll avoid the Amazon's Choice version of it. Their quality control is absolute garbage, and I have had far too many things break down, or not do their job at all. Amazon's Choice is a garbage label slapped on whatever the algorithm wants to get out of the warehouse quickly. It doesn't mean they have actually ever looked at the product, let alone recommend it. Amazon basics tend to be okay. Or anything Amazon recommends. It has become nearly impossible to find PC peripherals and electronic gear now that isn't broken from the start, because 99% of the choices are fly-by-night Chinese non-brands that nobody's ever heard of, all selling identical products to each other. I always have to scroll through page after page before finding something remotely reliable looking. It's gotten so bad that actual known brand manufacturers of reliable products have just stopped updating their lineups because the price difference renders competition hopeless. For example, it's now impossible to find a keyboard or mouse or HDMI switcher made by anyone you've ever heard of anymore. Worcestershire sauce. I eat so much bad food, I am just waiting for the day for my doctor to tell me that I need to buy the low-sodium version of Worcestershire sauce, at which point I will leave him for another medical provider. No joke, people don't even know store brand is shit till they have the real stuff. The original recipe was never released by Lee and Perrins. Always buy the legit stuff. I once bought my dad the Sam's Club-sized bottle of Lee and Perrins, and I am now confident I am the sole beneficiary of his will. So here I am thinking I would save money and buy the store brand contact solution, and then there I go getting pink eye 4 times in 3 months. Clear care for life. I doc here, fully agree. Crayons or colored pencils. No rosette for me or my future children. I actually remember a fist fight breaking out over rosette crayons in elementary school. You would probably be better off coloring with a candle. My cousin and I, and now my grown son, refer to ourselves as Crayola snobs. When he was a kid, I used to have a gift card tin full of Crayolas that I'd carry in my purse, so to spare him from ever having to experience the sadness of coloring with anything else. It would be fair to say I'd just rather not color if the only thing available is rosette or some other no-brand wax stick. As an ex-Marine, you can tell the difference between wax crayons As a person with really odd intrusive urges, the blue crayon tastes different from the others. You generally get what you pay for with art supplies. Goodies hair ties. All those tangle-free off-brands are garbage. I bought 3 packs because I used to go through them so fast. 2 years later, I haven't opened the last 2 packs. As a thick-haired person who moved to Wales, it took me a long time to find the right brand here. I used to require people who visited me to bring either coffee creamer, marshmallow mateys, Gatorade, or Goodies hair ties. There is nothing like the rage I feel when a hair tie snaps, and I almost never have that with Goodies. It's more likely to stretch out than snap, and that I can deal with. Ritz crackers. Off-brand foods are usually hits or mezz, but off-brand Ritz crackers are a hard no. Everything's wrong, the texture, the taste, it's just no. Dr. Pepper. Every store has its own generic soda brand, and every one of them gets their version of Dr. Pepper wrong. Some of the names are amusing, but that's about the only good thing about them. Funnily, in the Netherlands, Dr. Pepper contains artificial sweeteners now. The rip-off Dr. Foots is what is preferable and much cheaper. Pads. You've never experienced discomfort if you've never worn a cheap pad. Aria Cookies. My family bought generic everything, but that was definitely the worst. Arias are technically the knockoff. The original is Hydrox, which is a terrible name for a cookie. True. I much rather prefer the sound of Oreos and milk than Hydrox and chloroquine. Hydrox y chloroquine, mi amigo. Yeah, it sounds like a detergent-flavored cookie. Generic Aria cookies suck, the ones you'd get at various big grocery stores. However, while they're not generic, I do find that Trader Joe's brand of Aria Jo-Jo's are vastly superior to Aria Imo. They have slightly less sugar than Oreo's 11G-V13G for 2 cookies, and that makes all the difference as they do not taste teeth-breakingly sweet like Oreos do. I would also recommend Trader Joe's peanut butter cups over Reese's any day of the week. I have heard similar things to Aldi's version of Aria, that they are superior as well, but I haven't tried them. The Peppermint Joes sold during the holiday season are without a doubt the best cookie ever made. Covered with a thin coat of chocolate that has just a smidge of finely crushed peppermint in it. I make a 3-hour total drive time for the round-trip excursion to the nearest Trader Joe's for these, and give them to the dry cleaners, the bank, the insurance guy, etc. as holiday gifts. I get treated like a queen at these businesses year-round. Newman's own Newman OS are next level compared to poop Oreos. 100% headphones. Edit. I expected 30, not almost 1K. And the current one is Sennheiser E2 Prob, misspelled it for it's like a tech support mic look, but good mic quality and sound. Ones I am talking about are some off-brand $20 headphones, and I bought one a second time. You know when you walk from your PC and forget or headphones, it happens 2 times. Headphones fucked. I finally broke down and splurged for the Jabra 65T Bluetooth earbuds. Between the sound quality and the noise isolation, by far the best I ever owned. Instant Pot. The generic electric pressure cookers will work, but have absolutely shit design, and last nowhere as long. And they try to BS features like slow cook, where you assume it would work as a crock pot for actual slow cooking. Nope, they mean waste 6 hours of your time allowing your food to enjoy a nice steam, and not cook at all. Shitty pressure cookers are also very dangerous. Literally a bomb waiting to go off. I have an Instapot, and I absolutely hate my slow cook option. Did not work for me at all. Toilet paper. Charmin Ultra Strong every time. My butt deserves the best. Love this stuff. It's like wiping your ass with a bath towel. Aw man. I have decided to just go for the Charmin brand from now on. I don't care if it costs me $20 for a pack of rolls, I'll buy it. I can't stand uncomfortable, flaky, cheap brands just to save $4 for a few months of usage. Fuck the Cashmere brand, it's shit. We bought some one-ply shit from Aldi back when toilet paper was hard to come by. I used one roll, and am saving the rest for if we ever actually run out again. It's better than newspaper, I imagine, but not that much better. Same. We still have 2 unopened for packs of crummy one-ply, and I don't ever want to have to use it. Sleeping pills. I bought sleeping pills from the dollar store because I had chronic insomnia, and I am naturally nocturnal. I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom, and brought my pillow with me. I tried to hang it up over the shower curtain rod like a towel, and just chucked it into the shower or tub. I then went to go back to sleep, and couldn't find my pillow. I had completely forgot what I just did with it. Then after suction cupping my ear to my arm for 20 minutes, I decided to go look for it, bringing my phone for a flashlight so I wouldn't wake up my wife. Presmart phone, so I was using the screen for light. I remember it being 1:30 a.m. My next memory of this night was being asleep, standing over my wife's side of the bed. I remember trying very hard to wake up. I kept trying to look around with my phone light and couldn't see anything. Then I kept trying to check my phone to see what time it was. I couldn't see, I couldn't move. All I remember is basically standing there completely paralyzed, thinking I am going to fall on my wife and kill her cause she is so tiny. Finally the sun came up, waking me up somehow, still standing, and I went to sleep on the couch. Found my pillow when I turned on the shower for my wife the next morning. Edit. This is probably what it was that I took. Web address. Edit 2. Wife corrected me, she remembers throwing it away. Web address. This was it for sure. Bro, WTF kind of sleeping pills did you buy? This sounds eerily like the effects that benzos used to have on me. Except for the while sleep paralysis while standing all night till the sun came up. LUL. I have had something similar happen where I realized I would fallen asleep, and I needed to wake up, but I couldn't move. It would last until I heard any kind of noise, and I would immediately snap out of it. The kind of interesting thing was that while I could see my real surroundings, I wasn't sure if my eyes were open and I was actually seeing them, or my eyes were closed and I was dreaming them. Sleep paralysis, or that's what it sounds like. Look it up, it's a real thing, a weird real thing. Cheese-It crackers. Any other type of cheese cracker looking at you, especially cheese nips, can take a long walk off a short pier. The only other cheese cracker that was good was Better Cheddars, but they apparently don't sell them anymore. Better Cheddars are still around. I just bought a box a couple of weeks ago. Maybe they are limited to certain areas. Raisin Bran. Sounds weird, but the generic brands are horrible. Rocks for raisins and the flakes are like cardboard. For only the finest breakfast experience, Kellogg's trademark Raisin trademark brand trademark stands out as the superior choice, making you the envy of all your friends and family. Disclaimer. I totally work for the Kellogg's trademark marketing department, and make a shitload of money off this post from my summer home in the Hamptons trademark. I knew this post seemed familiar. How are you, Bob? Bob and I go way back when we shared an icy cold Coca-Cola, the favored soft drink beverage of the United States, and world-renowned for its bubbly refreshing goodness, available at your nearest store, and choice of only the best restaurants around in the Hamptons. For real though, I refuse to buy Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Way too much sugar. I buy Aldi brand flakes and add my own raisins. Gummy bears. Haribo or go home. Wow. You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also, you can press the bell icon, so you won't miss any future uploads.